Hello, Swamp. How are you today, my man?
I'm good, brother. Good to be back here.
Oh man, I'm really glad you came back. When you reached out to me, I was like, "Hey, I want to be back on your show." I was like, "Whoa, he wants to be back. He's asking me? What?" I felt honored.
Yeah, why not? Come back and have a chat. I mean, now it's a different name, a different brand. I feel like I gotta come back and experience what's new.
I mean, not much is new. You were actually the catalyst to this new brand, this new way of recording and doing these podcasts, or making it more of a podcast rather than an interview.
That's awesome. I'm glad. I feel like it just flows better, when you kind of just have conversations. It doesn't feel like, I feel like a lot of people just feel weird when you kind of just like bombard them with questions.
I agree. I don't mind bombarding somebody with questions, but
Oh, yeah.
it's hard because you can't talk over each other.
hmm
You can't have like real conversation. You can have little bits and pieces of conversation, but the main structure of it is question answer. That's not, it's fun if you want to really get to know somebody, maybe dig deep into their personal life, but
hmm
it's not as fun as just having a conversation.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of get to know somebody on a more personal level when it's kind of more of like a conversation because then you can kind of see their mannerisms, how they act, who they are. It kind of just puts more than just kind of like an answer to a question.
It matters who you are, right? At the end of the day, it matters who you are, but it shouldn't be somebody else's business to judge you based on who you are or your sexual preference.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should judge people by who they are as a person. I don't care if you're, what color you are, where you come from, what language you speak. Just are you a good person or a bad person? And I think that's how we should be looking at people. But the world's a little more complicated than that.
See, I came out myself personally about 3, 4 years ago, maybe five now, as bisexual. Because I find men and women both attractive. Like, it's just
Yeah.
what it is, you know? Um, And I mean, I don't even. It's not even just as simple as men and women. I find if I find a partner that I'm attracted to and that I care for, it's that simple for me. And
Yeah, I feel
if
that.
I find love for them, I don't care if they're male, female, trans, whatever. There's so many different types now of people sexually that it's hard to keep up with for me. But the ones I know pretty well are bi, straight, and whatnot. But I don't care who you are. If I find you attractive, I find you attractive. You know.
Yeah, I feel that. I've kind of always been kind of standoffish when it comes to like not like sexual orientations and stuff like that. Like I guess you could call me straight, like I know what I like, but like I'm also like incredibly comfortable in that fact that like I'll say the suchest shit you ever heard. Like I'll say I say the gayest shit ever all the time and people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I'm just like, "What?" And like that's the only way you're going to normalize it, right? Just go with the flow. But
Yes.
I just don't see the point in like labeling things. I think that just kind of
Yeah.
causes the entire problem to get worse. Like I
I
love
agree.
like the LGBT and all that, but I just feel like when we're like I'm this particular thing, I feel like it kind of segregates more than it brings together, because then it's like we have this blah 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 or this specific group of people coming together and then but then these other people aren't really allowed. So it's kind of like I feel like when you just kind of drop all the labels like I don't really usually say I'm straight, gay, whatever. I just say like I'm just kind of dude chilling, dude. Like I'm out here doing my thing. I don't really have a label, so you can't really
Right.
hate me or be against me because I'm kind of just with everybody at this point.
I'm much the same. I agree with labels. It's when you label things, you open the door for discrimination and hate and
Mhm.
whatnot. And I think if you're happy with who you are and who you love, that's all that matters. Though I
Yeah,
do like that there's a Pride Month because for all the people that do hate gays and lesbians and whatnot, it really does give us a chance to throw it in their face. And I
oh yeah,
do,
they can eat dirt for the month.
yes, I love that fact. I really do. It,
Yeah, I agree like entirely. I just feel like that should be like the mentality all the time. Like, I
I
feel like
agree.
that's what if everybody just kept that energy all the time, I feel like things might be different. But at the same time, it is what it is. Human beings are just gross and everybody's kind of brainwashed to believe what they want, and there's always one side, then there's the other side and another side. So
Hmm.
it's going to be a lot harder to be, quote unquote equal. Just in my own experience, I mean, I used to get called gay and, the F word and all that kind of stuff all the time.
Hmm.
And to me, I had to learn to like, because I got bullied a lot, and like I was just like a very skinny kid, so like I was an easy target for a lot of people. And coming from, really rural, deep southern areas, people are very bigoted and,
Oh yeah.
homophobic and stuff. So like I got called every name in the book. So to me, those names, they don't even bother me. So I'm just like, hell yeah, I'm gay, hell whatever, because like it's not even an offensive thing to me. It's like, well, you're just calling me a sexuality. Like that's not like I could care less personally. I've seen some people just get so upset that they get called that to where like it'll cause a physical altercation, and I'm just like, you're that upset over being called gay. It's just the weirdest thing to me. It's just like,
I can understand like if someone is gay and they're having trouble coming to terms, that doesn't help. But like
oh yeah,
you
definitely,
and I who have accepted who we are and we're just going through our day and someone's like, "Hey, you know, sexual slur," you know,
yeah, definitely.
it's just like, "Oh, thanks for noticing. Have a great day." you know. But for those that are struggling with it and whatnot, I can see why it can be hurtful.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can completely agree to that. I don't ever want to like speak in generalities saying that like, like no it shouldn't bother anybody because I don't know obviously the actual pain of being,
Yeah.
say in having to come out or, being in that situation, but being called that all the time, it kind of like puts you in a more toxic, it puts you like in this kind of toxic thing I noticed recently in my life, like looking back to where like you kind of make words not mean anything when you're bullied all the time. So like your mindset is like unknowingly ignorant towards, the greater cause because like you're like, oh, these words don't matter, so who cares if people say them? But
Hmm.
like it's kind of more of an understanding. It's like you have to kind of understand that these words matter. They carry weight. They do bother people, and there are people that do go through these things. So it's kind of like you need to have that understanding and kind of, I guess, separate yourself from the word itself because it doesn't bother you, but it bothers somebody else. So
Yes.
it's kind of just being mindful and all that. And I kind of had like a big change in my like perspectives recently. Well, not recently, but I guess a couple years ago. I used to be one of the people who was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter, blah blah blah. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter if I share this or say anything. It's not going to change." And I used to be that kind of guy.
Hmm.
But after a lot of reflection and thinking about it, and having a lot more friends now that have come out over the years, and getting closer with trans people and such, it's just like makes you see it in a whole different light when people you care about are affected by it.
I agree. I think if more people that disliked, people who had different sexual preferences, if they spent a day with them and let them help them through the day and get to know them, I bet you we'd have a lot less gay hatred. Or what's a better term other than gay hatred? I can't really think of it. Hatred for the LGBTQA. We have to put A in there now because there's asexuals. But
Yeah, just this ignorance.
there'll be a lot less hatred for it. And that's the problem is like people have hatred for things they don't know or don't understand. And that's what it comes down to is or the South. The South is just full of bigotry. I live here in the South now. I moved down here a year ago and
Yeah.
I like South Carolina as a state, but the people here are some of the worst people I've ever met.
Like you'd be surprised, man. It's like some people are like, "Oh, it's not that bad here." It's like in certain spots, it's really bad in the
It's
Bible
really
Belt, man.
bad. It's
And
so
like you,
bad.
it's crazy because like the Bible Belt, they all go to church, but it's like no, these are the kind of people who are like like sitting on their front porch with a shotgun, ready to shoot anybody who steps a foot on their property.
Yes.
Like it's like these people who like just believe everything like the news tells them.
It's so bad. Like these and those same people will go to church and praise God and praise people, but then when they get home, they're some of the worst people you've ever met.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like they're kind to your face, but then once they're in their own territory, they are just complete dirtbags. It is the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm from Vermont, where people are kind generally. Like kindness is a general thing up in north, especially in Vermont. People only care if you're a good person or a bad person. They don't care about who you love. They don't care about, where you go, who you hang out with, unless it's someone that you really shouldn't be. But there's honesty. There's, niceness up north. But then I moved down here a year ago. A year and a few months, a year and like 3 months ago. And these are just some of the worst people I've ever met. I have never, ever wanted to move out of a place so quick.
Oh man, you got to find a better place down here. South Carolina is definitely not known to be the best.
What state are you
But
in?
I'm in Florida, but I've lived everywhere. I've lived in North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky.
Right. That's right. I remember we talked about that last time.
I've been a little bit everywhere. I mean, there's definitely people, like, and being somebody who's been to pretty much every state, like, it's just weird to see that, like, it's kind of the same everywhere you go. Like, you have, like, your nice places where you have your progressive people who are more just
Mm-hmm.
open and understanding. And then you have your more, I don't even know if you want to call them conservative people, just more old school minded people, I guess, that are like still in that like 1950, 1940 mindset where it's like, oh, all these racist bullshit. Like, it's like, man, it's just like we're kind of moving past that. But
Yeah.
I honestly do believe we're getting to a point soon where a lot of it's as fucked up as it might be for me to say this, or sorry, I shouldn't be cussing on here, I guess.
No,
But
you're
for as
fine to cuss.
as messed up as it might be to say, once a lot of these older people actually eventually start kicking the bucket, I think these newer generations, as much as they might be cringe or whatever people want to say, are going to be who pushes a lot more of that, equality, at least a little bit more in the sense of like at least the rights and what people can do, and to stop a lot of these hate crimes. I just think it's always going to be there in some sense of the word. Like, I don't think we're ever going to, eradicate racism. I don't think we're ever going to eradicate hatred because that's just kind of a part of humans.
Human nature.
And like, I don't know if we're naturally hateful people, but I think that like the way society has been for so long now, especially in America, I think that Americans are just very confused and very, off, standoffish, naturally. I just think a lot of, we don't understand it, so we hate it, and it's just kind of like how they kind of trained you to be here, unfortunately.
Um, Today I reached out on my Discord server, right? And I said, quote unquote, hello everyone. And I literally tagged everyone, and there's like 75 people in my Discord server.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
I try not to do the add everyone, but when it comes to stuff like this, I do. I said, I have a very special guest that I will be recording an episode with tonight. If you can think of any topics of conversation you would like to hear about, please reply to this. The first one was, and I'm going to give shout outs to the people who asked them. Do you mind?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
The first one came from Timothy. He is an author. He has published some books. He writes for narrators at times, I believe. Timothy asks, what would be your last meal and why?
A good question. That's something I've never really thought about.
I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah, honestly.
If you have to think about your last meal, I have to dig a little deeper here and be like, why?
It's like, what's wrong with you, sir? But man, last meal. What would I would have to? I guess we'd have to go with like favorite foods or something, right? Just like something that you would just obviously want to have one last time or something. I killed Shrek and his family. That's what I'm on trial for. So I
Okay.
probably would go for some green curry with no green beans with
Mm-hmm.
extra Thai spice. And then I'd probably get extra rice on the side, get myself some chicken rice soup as well, and have to get me some tacos too.
Oh man, you know what's coming to my mind as you say that?
What?
When you drop dead, you're gonna release a whole bunch for them to have to deal with.
Oh yeah, it's just I didn't even think about that, but now I
You're
think
gonna
about
go
that,
out
it's
with a
like
bang.
somebody. I'm gonna get the last laugh ultimately.
I was actually asked this question myself. I wasn't sure if it was Grave Matters or the Traveler's Tavern, but I said I would get a bucket of fried chicken on the bone with mashed potatoes and coleslaw. I don't know about the coleslaw piece, but I'm adding that in now. Coleslaw I would eat fully. I would eat all the mashed potatoes, but the chicken, right? I would eat to the bone, and I'd take the bones and sharpen them on the edge of the bed. Because if I'm gonna die, right, today, for whatever I did, I killed somebody, whatever, I'm gonna make sure to take a guard or two with me.
You're a sick man.
So when they come in to get me, I'm gonna take that sharpened chicken bone. I'm gonna stab someone in the throat, maybe two people. I'm gonna try to take people down with me because if I have to die, I'm not going out alone.
I think we need to be asking your therapist to look deeper into that.
We have. She just says I'm wired differently.
I'm built different.
Nah. I don't think I'd end up with death row. I'm a pretty gentle guy.
But if you do, you're taking the whole goddamn place with you.
Yes, pretty much. Because I probably didn't deserve to be on death row, so I might as well just go out with a bang. All right, next one. This one was asked by Dodge This 82. If you couldn't narrate, what would you do instead?
I'd be doing probably radio show hosting, radio ads, just anything that was similar to narrating probably.
Okay.
Or I'd probably just keep doing music like I was before, whatever it was that was, paying the bills, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good point. I know you don't like these structured things, so I'm just trying to get through these now so we can get on to the real good conversations.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
All right. PA Nightmares asks, other hobbies outside of YouTube, stuff you do to keep from getting burnt out.
Every time you say people, it's like some names I'm familiar with, others I'm not. And it's like see the freaking SpongeBob thing. It's like, who are you people? But it's
Infamous name.
See, I guess I do a lot of stuff. I like to go hiking out in state parks a lot, and kind of just a lot of times I'll bring my GoPro or so my phone or something, just kind of film the hike and stuff. Just go with my dog and my girlfriend, or just kind of get away from the internet and computers and just screens in general. Try to just decompress and not feel so overwhelmed and burnt out.
Okay. Yeah, that's what my favorite pastime to do is just walk. I try to bring my family along. Doesn't usually happen, so it really just ends up being me or eventually me and my son.
Oh, yeah, I'm a natural loner personally, so I can do anything alone and honestly be fine, but it's nice to get away with people you love, obviously.
Yeah. I am much the same. That's part of being a husband and being a father is great, but when you are a natural loner who can just sit alone and focus on things and being a loner, you need space from people. You need space from people. But when you're a husband and a father, you can't get space. You have to give that up. And it's really hard for me. That's a challenge for me because but dividing my time between them and having to be alone, it can be rough. Don't have kids. Don't have okay? Tell your girlfriend that to get on the strongest birth control she can find because you don't want kids if you're a loner.
Yeah, take all 75 pills. We out here. Honestly, that's something I had to kind of learn really when it came to living with a girlfriend or spouse or whatever, was just more of having to give up a little bit of that lone time. Because you get so used to just kind of doing what you want, kind of being in your little dark room or whatever.
Yes.
But then you got obviously somebody else out there who wants your attention and time too. So you're like, oh yeah, probably balance that out a bit more.
And it's hard because you have to balance out not only the time with them, but the time with your kid, the time with work, the time with everything else, and it can get overwhelming, especially when you are a natural owner. Now we have more questions. This one is actually the next couple are asked by Midnight Bard, Seraphine the Midnight Bard. Are you familiar with him?
I don't think so.
All right,
maybe if I saw a picture.
He's a good narrator. You should definitely check him out. How long do you think you would last in a zombie apocalypse, and what would your survival strategy be?
That's That's a tough one because I've thought about this a few times a long time ago, but not anytime recently. Surprisingly, I'm actually not a big fan of zombie movies and stuff
Really?
like that. I've always just kind of I'm maybe it's just, like I'm a natural born hipster, flick my hair, but like I've just like never really been into like big popular tropes like that. Like I don't
Yeah.
mind some vampire movies, but I'm not big into vampire movies either. So it's like it's just
No,
kind of like
either.
something that like a lot of people were into when I was a kid, and I was just kind of like I didn't really. I've seen some really good zombie movies, and I'll admit that, but like I've never been like, oh, this is my thing. But I feel like I would probably do pretty well as long as we were in some sort of situation similar to maybe The Walking Dead, like where you have like a group of people and stuff like that, like where you can like rely on each other's skills and whatnot. By myself, I feel like when you go solo in anything, like survival rates have dropped like significantly. I think you're probably not going to make it too far unless you're just, obviously the most badass. Um, there is Les Stroud kind of guy out there, but since I am not a super badass Les Stroud kind of guy, I'd probably do all right as long as I was in a more rural area, more out in the woods. I would probably be fine. I don't really have anything against being dirty or having to drink water from a river or whatever. I'm not really too deficient in catching fish and making fires and such. So especially since I'm sure I would still have a lot of things available to me if I was, packing something to where I need to run into the wilderness to get away from zombies or something. So I think I'd be able to just do all right in certain circumstances, but in others, I think I'd probably get wrecked.
So I agree. I think why zombies capture the imagination so much is because people who don't think really hard about it watch The Walking Dead and are like, "Wow, that looks tough. Like, how would you survive that?" But when you think about the fact that zombies can't really run, they can't swim. They
Yeah.
can't do much besides walk in a straight line and attack whatever they need. It's actually pretty easy to survive a zombie apocalypse. The trick is to go up north and learn how to survive in the winter because they won't survive the winter. Their bodies will probably preserve more. They'll probably be around a lot longer up north, but they can't walk in the snow. That's going to take way too much muscle power for them to be able to get through, especially when it gets like waist high or knee high. They're not going to be able to walk. So really, the easiest way to survive any kind of zombie apocalypse is to just move up north to like the snowy areas, like
Minnesota.
Minnesota, Vermont, New Hampshire, um, Canada. Those places, Alaska. Man, you'd have it set because you would not have to worry so much because they can't walk through snow. you know.
We'll just
Um,
go. We'll go move in with Slumber Reeds in Minnesota. Minnesota. It's literally seems like every year they get like slammed, and you're just like, well, guess I'll move to Canada for a nice summer.
I lived in Vermont for 23 years, 24 years, and I can tell you, man, Vermont is a weird place because some winters you get it thigh high, other winters you get it maybe knee high, but
Hmm.
you always get it, and it's always a pain in the ass to drive in. All right, Bard asks, "What's your favorite dinosaur and why?"
Ah, man, I always forget how to say the name, but I guess
Describe it.
I'll call it by the dumb name, but God, I don't. It's like it's kind of like a Stegosaurus type of one, but it's like a Triceratops and a Stegosaurus.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember the name, but I know which one
I
you're
can
talking
see
about.
its name in my head, and like I can like see it, but I can just never say the name. It's one of those things for me. But it's basically like one of the largest like Triceratop type creatures that there ever were. It's got like the
Mm-hmm.
massive like shield type head with like the three big horns, and it's got like these spikes on its tail, I think, or
Mm-hmm.
back, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But that for sure. I love those guys. I loved a lot of like the big like land-based giants that used to exist back in those days, and
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see like a Jurassic Park type movie, but like where it's more like anatomically correct with like the feathers and all that these creatures would
Yes.
have had. I feel like that would just be so sick. A bunch of giant chickens running around, basically. Like hell yeah, dude!
Yeah,
Like
man. Like See, the thing is, with Jurassic Park, came out in the 90s or 80s or whatever, right? They didn't know that dinosaurs were covered in feathers back then. It was only a recent
Yeah,
discovery back in like late 2000s to early 2010s. Um, and they didn't have an idea of how they would sound until they discovered fossils with vocal cords.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when they recreated the vocal cords, it sounded more like a duck. Sounded more like a quack sound. So like,
Yeah, it's very interesting.
yeah. So I imagine now, whenever someone's like, "Oh, a T-Rex," you know what I picture? I
Wow.
picture a creature that is like 6 feet, 7 feet tall, covered in feathers, and going quack, quack. That's what it did. Oh, and the funniest part, T-Rex could not outrun a human. That's the best part.
I'd probably say my other favorite dinosaur is the Allosaurus.
Oh
I feel
yes,
I feel like that's a more badass T-Rex, but
yes, much more badass. It is
see, I feel
like
like T-Rex gets confused with a lot of other similar type dinosaurs because
they
there were
do.
like a lot of dinosaurs that were very similar to the T-Rex that were much larger, which Jurassic Park kind of twisted and such. But
Again, Jurassic Park was a very out of the park dinosaur movie.
it's just funny that like Jurassic Park became because like I have these old books from the '90s that I had, and like it literally just looks just like the Jurassic Park movies. Everything were these giant, scaly lizard
Yes,
monsters, and there were reptiles back then, but they were not. Most of the dinosaurs were not actually big lizards.
yes, and again, but see, that was a 2000s discovery thing, and that's the
Hmm.
weird part. Is what we were raised with. Our books as kids, um, dinosaurs were big, large, scary animals with scales that sounded like the Jurassic Park movies. But then, by the time we were like 15, 16, 17 years old, guess what, guys? Let's change your entire thinking on dinosaurs.
It's like everything you know is a lie.
Pretty much.
It's like the cake is a lie, and we're like, ah. It's like our whole classroom's burning down, the teacher's screaming, we're all running around. Ah! It's pretty much how it went when I was in like, I think it was like 8th grade for me when they started like basically being like, okay, so you remember last year when we were talking about these big lizards that would probably eat you? Now we think they might just be big ass murder chickens. And I was like, oh shit, thanks for ruining my childhood.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's move on. What wild animal are you reasonably sure that you could outrun?
Um, depends on the terrain, but I'm still pretty quick in my old age, so I'd probably say I'd I'd probably fuck up a lot of these lazy ass Floridian animals up on that shit, but I'll probably fuck up an alligator. They can run like 25 miles per hour, something like that. I'll fuck them up.
Okay, that's pretty
I'll
good,
dust them. Dude, I'll dust them. I'll leave them in my trail.
bro. Same. Like, I live in South Carolina. We get alligators.
Oh, shit.
I think Florida is crocodiles and alligators. I think South Carolina is just alligators.
Yeah, we got all the BS you can imagine. We apparently got Nile crocodile showing up now. It's just like, fuck.
Yes, Nile
It's like we
crocodiles
can't.
are scary.
All the exotic pets down here. It's just ridiculous. Like a lot of the stories I believe because like we have like so we got like super boa python mixed now like running around out here killing alligators and everything in its way. It's just like
Yes.
the craziest stuff. It's just like man, I
Florida is
hate
a
it.
whole different world, man. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, man, people just suck, man. They ruin everything.
Well, I agree actually on the outrunning a crocodile or alligator.
Man, dip out on him.
Because like, let's be honest, they're so low to the ground. You just gotta jump over a log.
Just zigzag, bro. You'll be fine, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
just
from Florida.
zigzag,
Just
zigzag, jump
zigzag,
over
dude.
some
Just
logs. Climb a
climb up.
tree.
I would say climb a tree, but I've seen gators get pretty high,
Oh, that's
and
true. That's a good
and
point.
I've seen them climb over fences and stuff in person too. Dude, that shit's terrifying.
Bro, they
Like
can.
you're in the
Oh,
backyard and suddenly like you just see like I've seen them climb barbed wire and chain link. It's like it's
really?
yeah, it's actually wild. I mean, if you go to YouTube and you look up, you just type like alligator climbing fence, I'm sure you'll see plenty of videos. It's kind of wild, dude. Like you see that and you're just like, oh hell no.
I've seen them like hanging on the side of buildings.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. They're just
Yeah.
chilling. They
Bro,
just
I
go
don't
wherever.
even like to approach water here in South Carolina because, like, up north, you don't have to worry about that stupid shit. Maybe you have to worry about a copperhead or an adder, but that's a little snake, and they're pretty easy to avoid. But down here, man, you don't know
Oh no,
what's
we
in
got
that
everything.
fucking water.
Oh yeah, that's why like I just don't go in anything unless it's like springs of some sort where it's like crystal clear and I can see everything.
Yeah, or
There's a lot
it's
of
gonna
those.
be safe.
Oh yeah, I'm not big into murky water. That's why like, people are
Mm-hmm.
like, you're scared to why would you be scared to swim around here? It's like just swim in the freaking the springs. We have so many like springs in Florida and Georgia and South Carolina and all that. Like it's like just
Mm-hmm.
swim there. Just don't go in the murky brown water. That's where they're gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. Just
So
don't go in the swamp water, man. You may be a swamp dweller, but that doesn't mean you're gonna dwell in the swamp.
oh, when I was a child, man, I think back, I was like, my parents were super dumb. They let us like swim in the swamp. Like I remember many times that like we were not that far from gators as a kid, and like we used to like float down like the rivers and stuff, and the gators would be just like on the banks chilling. I was like, oh
Oh,
man, now I think about this now, and I'm just like, dude, we were so stupid.
bro, I haven't seen an alligator in person yet down here. Been here a little over a year. I have not seen an alligator yet, and I really don't want to. I do not know how. I think it'd be cool. I think my problem would be is I wouldn't be scared. I think I'd be excited, and I would try to get as close as possible. And that's my problem. Is I'd get up in that motherfucker's face. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
It's
they're
like a
there,
living
and
dinosaur.
that's the creepiest part about it is like you don't see them. Like I lived in where my dad lives now. Like I lived there for a lot of my life, and he's been there probably like 15 years or so, maybe more.
Wow.
And like there's some really big gators all around there. I've seen them all around, but there's this one lake in the very back of the neighborhood that people say they've seen them there a ton of times. I've been going there my whole life, been in that water, used to do all kinds of stupid stuff. Never seen one there, but people have pictures of them being there all the time. Never seen one. They're there. You just might never see them. But
Exactly.
the moment you get too close to the water, you might lose your leg, might lose your dog. I don't
You
know.
might lose your life.
Might just
Actually,
get might just get murked for no fucking reason. But you know what? You were in the wrong neighborhood.
it's those moments, man, where the gator will see you before you see the gator, and that's the reality. It's like they blend in so well, they can hide so well. Even though they're big, large, living dinosaurs, they will see you before you see them. They will strike before you even know it, and that's what is a terrifying part. That's why I don't go near water here in South Carolina, unless I know it's like
Oh,
a natural like swimming pool. If it's a swimming pool, fine, but I won't go in a
yeah,
pond.
definitely. Like, well, I'm very reluctant of just like water you can't see very far in. Like,
Yes.
I was doing a documentary recently that'll be coming out, and like we're filming in a lot of like lakes and like rivers and such throughout the state. And but it's just like you want to like put the GoPro in the water and stuff like that, but even that I'm hesitant of because I know how far these things can jump. I know how easily they can just get me and pull my ass out. Like I'm just like it's not like it might be an irrational. It's not necessarily an irrational fear or a fear
Absolutely.
itself. It's just more of just kind of being very conscious of your surroundings. And I think a lot of people perceive that as me kind of being a little afraid or a scaredy cat or whatever they call it. But it's like, I mean, I've seen like what can happen if you're not careful in certain areas. And when you live in these areas, you just have to be mindful of the wildlife. And Florida is just so full of wildlife, and the South in general, since it's a much warmer climate, it just has so much more of an abundance of different kind of critters that all kind of want to eat you or kill you.
Yeah. Look, man, I'm one of the bravest people you'll ever meet, but I'm with you 100%. If someone's like, can you, like, go film that water for me for this? I'd be like, no. Why?
Maybe from the
Because
bank, yeah.
there could be gators in there, man, and those things, they will jump out the water 5, 6 feet in the air. They will jump out of the water faster than a bullet. They will grab you. They will pull you in, and if you can't fight back, or there's multiple in there, you're screwed. Like, you're done. There's nothing you can
Oh
do.
yeah,
And you're done. But let's move on. I got two more questions for you. Are you ready for them?
I'm all yours.
All right. Bart asks, this is his last question. What conspiracy theories do you believe are plausible?
What conspiracy theories do I think are plausible? Um, a lot of them. I'd say most of them probably have some sort of truth to them because I mean, I'm there. There are some obviously like batshit crazy ones, but I think a lot of them do have some sort of basis in reality, and I feel like conspiracies don't just pop up from nowhere most of the time. But it's hard to pick one, I guess. I mean, I think I guess the 9/11 conspiracy, that was an inside job. I think that's pretty obvious at this point, but I guess that would be one I find plausibility in.
I
I'm
would
not a
be
big
scared to say that publicly, my man.
I'm not. I'm actually really not like scared to say it publicly because I don't think it really disrespects the situation at all. Because like at no point are we saying that nobody died and there was no tragedy that was occurring. There was a very terrible tragedy that
Yes,
occurred, but I do and if you look at our history, this country has done things very much like that in the past. So it's not like this is the first and only time. And there's a lot of things that if you just look at the information, it's strange. Look,
it is.
I also could concede that maybe there were maybe it really wasn't an inside job, but there are a lot of things that make it seem otherwise. But like I said, it's a conspiracy theory. It's gonna be two sides. There's three sides to every story. There's his side, her side, and the truth, right? So there's
Yeah.
their side, and the truth. That's how it's always gonna be. And unfortunately, we don't have the truth, so I'm gonna be in a lose-lose situation no matter if I'm like, well, I think it happened or I don't think it happened. That's kind of the whole. That's kind of how conspiracy theories are set up by design. You're kind of going to lose either way. So I'm actually just not a big fan of conspiracy theories because of that, because it just kind of like you can't really talk
Hmm.
about it without pissing off somebody, because
Right.
somebody's going to like take it personally or go weird with it and take you out of context when you're like,
Yes.
when you're not trying to offend anybody at all. I know people personally who lost loved ones in 9/11, and I'm not by any means trying to diminish their loss. So
No,
I don't
no.
really,
I
I just
don't
prefer
think
not to
you
talk
are.
about it.
I don't think you are. Listen, when it comes to 9/11 being an inside job, I would not be surprised. Um,
Yeah, that's basically my stance.
yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I think it very well could have been, because there was a lot of shady business going on around that time with the Taliban and with Al Qaeda. There was. And that's the truth, is that we have proof that there was shady business dealings going on between us and them at the time.
Mhm.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
I wasn't there. I was a kid
yeah.
in elementary school. Now, let's move on to a happier subject.
Happier trails, happier trails.
The final question is from T Stash, who you may have seen in, some of my live streams and whatnot. Because I know you come to him, you come say hi. I know you were
And we
there at my 200 subscribers special. Thank you, by the way. That was nice of
we
you.
pop in. Definitely, man.
T Stash asks, "What are your top three? One video game. I don't know. She says top three video games, anime, and movies. What are your favorites? Favorite top threes of each? We're gonna make this a little bit shorter. What's your favorite two video games? What's your favorite two animes? And what's your favorite two movies? You don't need to explain.
For sure. Yeah. See, favorite two video games. I guess I'd say old school RuneScape. Been playing that most of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
then what's another game that I
I
really
still play
like?
that.
I literally am playing that right now. But
Wow, wow.
on the
That's
side,
more. That's more interesting than our conversation. I see how
you
it
got to
is.
you got to get some wood cutting gains, fam.
Yes,
Anyways,
for real. For real. So many
um,
hours.
I'm just trying to think. There's a lot of like I'm never been a big gamer, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of another game that really I guess left a big impact.
If you
I
can't
guess
think of one, that's okay.
I guess I'll say Soul Calibur 3. I really liked that game
Mm-hmm.
um, as a kid. So that I guess that'd be two favorite games there. Two favorite animes. Again, I'm a filthy casual in anime, but I'll say Code Geass for sure. Love that. And man, there's so many.
There's so many anime. I don't even know why someone would ask top two or three of
I'll
anime.
say Blood Plus. Blood Plus. That was one
Okay.
that I watched. That was like super good, like surprisingly good.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the last one?
Movies. What are your top two
Movies.
favorite movies?
God, that's like there's so many movies out there I've seen in my life that are good. But I guess I'll have to say The Sixth Sense because it's one of the first movies that really made me think and
Mm-hmm.
to rewatch. And then just because everybody hates on me for saying it, The Happening, because I also really love nature.
The Happening. Isn't that the one with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, Marky Mark, man.
I am thinking. Didn't like people just like start killing themselves or something because of some like
So the
natural
trees,
force?
yeah, the trees they like give off this chemical and it's like killing, making people kill themselves because nature's like, bitch, chill out.
Oh man, I haven't seen. I'm only asking because I haven't seen that movie in years. I was a little bit younger last time I saw it, but I do remember it. Just
I
the
love that
Marky
movie.
Mark, Marky
People
Mark,
like,
and the
love that
Sunshine
movie
Bunch.
so much, but I'm just like, it's not supposed to be super scary. That's not the point of the movie. It's not what makes it good.
Right. It's not meant to be scary. It's meant to make you think. What if that
Yeah,
was to happen? What if a dandelion started giving off a chemical that made you want to hurt yourself or hurt the person next to you? What would you do? You know,
I think that shit's terrifying
that
too. I'm
is
like,
terrifying.
they're like in New York City or something like that, and all of a sudden people are jumping off the roof. Like this.
Yeah.
What the hell? You know what I mean? I think that would make such a sick thumbnail for like a some sort of like YouTube video. You know what I mean? It's just like
Right.
falling
Talk
from the
about
sky.
raining men.
It's like exactly. It's like the visual alone of that. Like, and when I first watched it, because I was like in my early teens, maybe like preteen area, and when I first saw that movie, and I was like, wow, this is pretty brutal, honestly.
Yes. I know people panned the happening. Critics panned it. I thought it was an enjoyable movie when I was younger because it made you think. It wasn't meant to be terrifying. It wasn't meant to be like a boom, now you're scared movie. It was meant to. It's a psychological horror, really. Because what would
I
you do?
I think it also came out at a time where M. Night Shyamalan was kind of a meme because like he kind of was, he's
Yes.
always been very hit or miss, and he kind of, everybody, obviously we know the M. Night Shyamalan twist is what he got famous for, always some weird
Yes.
twist, like Sixth Sense and stuff like that. And I think people were
Avatar.
just kind of were at a point where they're like, I'm kind of over this freaking twist.
Yeah. Let's be honest about M. Night Shyamalan. He's not exactly the greatest movie director, but
He's very hit or miss.
his twists are usually pretty good. The movies themselves may not be good, but the movie twists are usually pretty
I feel like he does
solid.
have a lot of good movies. I feel like The
Yes.
Village is great. You know,
Village was
I
good.
I even think The Visit was pretty good. You know,
I
I felt
haven't
like
seen that.
I felt like The Visit had some good moments. You know, I don't obviously like it's run
What's
of
it
the
about?
mill scary movie. It's kind of like these kids like they go visit their like really strange, I guess, estranged grandma or something, and she
Mm-hmm.
like basically it's kind of like a Jack and Jill kind of story. You know what I mean? Like, or not Jack and Jill, excuse me. The like is it Jack and Jill? Like they go into the forest, eat the candy or whatever with the old lady. Can
That's
I don't freaking know, man. I'm not.
no, because Jack and Jill ran down the hill to fetch a pail of water. You're
He
talking
broke his.
about Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, Hansel and Gretel. Yeah, them assholes.
Them
It's kind of
assholes.
similar to that because like she like the grandma's like kind of like I don't know if she's possessed by something, but she's doing some crazy stuff. Tries to like eat them, tries to like put them in the, tries to kill them, like chases them under the house. Like it's crazy. Like you just have to watch it. I
What?
think you'd enjoy it. I think
I'm gonna have to check it out.
if you like M Night Shyamalan movies, it's one of his better recent ones for
I,
sure.
I'm sorry to say, I do like M. Night Shyamalan movies. I will fully admit he is not like the greatest movie director of all time, but he makes enjoyable movies. It's just fact. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what any critics say. He makes enjoyable ass movies, though. I'm going to say right now, his take on Avatar: The Last Airbender was very not.
Interesting.
It was interesting. I want to say, as an avid fan of Avatar, the series growing up, I did not. I was. I liked some pieces of it. The whole movie itself needed some work, but I liked some pieces of it, and I was really hoping he'd make a second one because he left it off at a really good point to make a second one. He did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer these questions myself real quick. Top 2 video games. The first one that comes to mind is BioShock, because that fucking would you kindly twist got me. Because you never think about it throughout. And everyone's like, would you kindly do this? Would you kindly do that? And you're never really thinking about that. You're just kind of doing it because, it's a game objective. But when they hit you with the twist, the would you kindly is your trigger word to make you do whatever you're told. That hits you. That hits you in a different way. It's that psychological piece to it that I love. And I have to agree with you. Old school RuneScape, playing that like literally all my life growing up and whatnot. That game's always kind of been there and I've always enjoyed it.
It's just timeless, you know. You can
It
like not
is.
play it for years, then come back and it's just be like you've been playing the whole time.
Exactly. You have to relearn some things, but not. It's like
I just
riding a
I just love
bicycle.
that nostalgia, you know. It's like
Yes.
I don't know about you, but like I didn't really have internet a lot when I was growing up, but
I
like when I
didn't.
got the chance to like use the like really trashy dial-up internet, and like I would love to like turn the speakers on, put on high detail, which was terrible back then,
Oh
and
yeah,
like just play RuneScape and listen to the music and just chop wood. Like that was like my favorite thing to do as a kid, and it's kind of funny because I still kind of do that. So
Lumbridge, the
yeah,
Lumbridge
good.
music, that
See
do
you in
do
Lummy.
do, that man,
I love it. It's a
I
good
do
game.
too. It
Timeless.
is, it is. Anime, kind of. Um, what's the term? I don't really know the term, but my favorites are Bleach and Dragon Ball Z. I said
Oh,
it.
you basic ass.
I'm a basic ass bitch. I know. Those are my
You get.
favorites. That doesn't mean I don't watch them though.
No, I'm just messing.
But I will admit, yeah, I'm a bit basic. But I like the narratives. I like the story of Bleach.
You like what you like, man.
Yeah, exactly.
See, Bleach and DBZ are the two exact type of animes that I don't like. I just feel like they take way too long
I
to do
will
freaking
agree.
anything. Like Bleach ruined anime for me as a kid because like I remember watching it. There was just so many fillers, and it just drove me nuts. I was like, just
Yes.
swing the sword, swing it, like just.
Yes. I agree that while I think the main pieces of each story are done well, but I don't like how much filler there is. And I'm not afraid to admit it. When it came to like the main episodes, the non filler episodes, they were great. But when
Mhm.
it comes to all the filler, it's really hard to push through. Like I haven't watched all of Bleach because there's literally like 3 full seasons back to back about filler, and I don't do that shit, man. Just give me the story. And Dragon Ball Z, there was like 4 episodes just to fight Frieza, bro.
I know it's so
Just
annoying.
like this planet's gonna blow up in 5 minutes. 3 hours later, oh, are you ready, Goku? Let's finish this.
Charging my attack.
Yes, I love it because he's just like, I'm gonna power up Frieza and I'm going to destroy you right now with the power of the Super Saiyan. Yeah, and Frieza's just like, go ahead. I will let you power up to destroy me right now. It's like, what are you doing? Attack him, bro. He's right there. He's open. He's charging his power. Just death beam him right to the heart, like he did Vegeta. Just do it. What's the difference? He's got
I remember
glowing
even
hair.
thinking that was crazy. I was like, I'm a child, and I think this is weird that like Goku's been charging a spirit bomb for like 6 episodes, and like Frieza's just like,
Yes.
all right, I guess this is fine.
Yeah, right. Like I'm not gonna attack.
I
You're
was like, you could
cool.
have just like shot him or something with your little beam thing that was fucking everybody else up, and it would have been over with. But no, you let him get this thing the size of the moon to like blow up Earth or some shit. Like, I don't even know. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, right. I think my favorite piece of Dragon Ball Z though was when Gohan went Super Saiyan 2 against Cell. Um, I think while the original Super Saiyan with Frieza was cool, it was action packed, it was awesome because you kept on hearing about this legendary Super Saiyan, and then Goku suddenly does it. You know, like that's cool, right? But and then you have Super Saiyan 3 after that with Kid Buu. I think the Kid Buu arc was pretty cool, but I think the Cell saga was probably my favorite because we, not only got to see Goku achieve a new level of Super Saiyan first, that mid level between 2 and 1. And then you see Vegeta go to that mid level, and you see Trunks, appear and whatnot. But besides that, watching Gohan get so hurt by watching the Android 16 head being crushed that he just explodes with emotion and anger and just goes into this new form of Super Saiyan that's much more powerful and just owns it. Like, he literally makes Cell his bitch. Cell is going around defeating Goku and Vegeta and Trunks and all of them like they're fucking peons, like they're fucking weak. And then Gohan just like gets angry and just starts making Cell his bitch. He could have buff fucked Cell and still had time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like Goku died like at least every boss.
Yes, of course. That's how it has to go. Goku has to die. That's kind of the trope.
I call it Batman syndrome. It's like he always has to get his ass beat the first time so he can come back and finally win. I was like, man, this is like kind of
Yeah.
like too telegraphed for me at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So that was all the like the questions. Now let's just talk, my man. So you mentioned a little earlier on that you like to go to state parks to hike, right? Have you ever
Yeah.
seen anything creepy?
Honestly, not in state parks, but I have had some pretty crazy experiences, like nothing that like I don't know if you like nothing crazy, but like the weather. I'll tell you this. I was in this really small preserve. It's like a small state park preserve. It's probably only a couple miles, like 3 or 4 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I love going there. It's near my dad's house where I grew up. It's a beautiful place. And one day we went there. It was me, my girlfriend, and her friend who was visiting from California. And I wanted to show him this really cool, really nice place. It's kind of like Central Florida. It's really, one of those really beautiful like pine forest areas, and it's part of the De Soto Trail and all that. So like where the Spaniards were first, walking up through Florida and exploring. It's like a really cool historic place to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there, and it was fine. And it looked like it might rain, but it looked like it'll probably pass. But suddenly like it just rolled in even thicker, and it just like we were probably like 3 miles into this hike, and then it just gets into like torrential downpour, lightning everywhere.
Really?
And we live in an area that's like really like I live in an area by an area now that's known as like the lightning capital in the world. At this time, we were probably about 2 hours away from there, but
Mm-hmm.
like we still have a lot of like lightning strikes because like even before we were noticing that there's like a lot of trees that were hit by lightning in these like valleys we're going through and stuff. And I just remember like just having to like run as fast as we can, like duck in, literally like seeing like we literally like almost went blind easily a couple of times, just like the bright white flashes that were like going because like literally lightning was landing maybe a couple 100 feet away or maybe a little more. I'm not entirely sure, but it was like a point like it felt like like the flashbangs in like Call of Duty or something. Like your ears would just go. It was like it was terrible. Like it was just like, and suddenly it's white for a second. You kind of have to stop and like you're like, oh shit. Like that was probably like really the scariest thing I've ever experienced. I've like run into tons of wildlife and all kinds of stuff like that, but I've never really had too much of a bad experience with wildlife. I just try to treat it very respectful, just back away, just leave the area. Luckily, I haven't had to run into too many, Florida panthers or too many bears or whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
I've had my fair share of encounters with stuff like that, but surprisingly, no, I really haven't had any super scary encounters, but I think a lot of the creepiest encounters do happen more in the parks that are like used for like camping and overnight hikes and stuff like that. I think that's
Yeah.
where you're gonna find the creepier kind of people hanging and the more shadier people and stuff like that. I've had some seedy people like kind of feel like they were following us and some weird, strange things like that, but nothing that I could really say was like like this was a for sure creepy experience. But obviously everything that's enjoyable in life comes with a downside because people are just creepy.
Um, speaking of which, I asked you if you've ever seen anything creepy or whatever in parks. I got two quick stories for you. One time I was going to the movies with my ex and her father and his father's wife slash girlfriend, whatever. And we're on our way. It's storming out, rain's pouring down. There's lightning. All of a sudden we're walking, like you, like a flashbang in Call of Duty. Just everything goes white and lightning strikes, and it struck like right next to us, like literally like
It's
10
the
feet away
worst.
from us. I thought of like I don't know what was going on. We're just watching. All of a sudden, everything just goes blinding white, and just we see the lightning crack right like 10 feet away from us.
It honestly is so weird because it
It
feels
is.
because like if you're really close, like I've been really close one time where like it honestly you feel the shock wave, then the static in the air, and
Yes.
like but it's weird because you'll feel like this pressure. It'll be like a punch to your chest, but then like maybe 10 seconds later you hear a boom, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's the strangest thing. It's like it's one of the weirdest experiences like you'll ever
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like go through. I'm so blessed to have never been obviously hit by lightning. It's one of my irrational fears, especially since I of course had to move near the lightning capital of the freaking country. So
um, when I had my experience with lightning, it was weird. Like you described, it's almost like you get punched in the chest. You get this extreme pressure. You feel the static in the air. You go blinding for a second. The lightning strikes. But like the weirdest thing is, you feel like the air is pretty like the air pressure just changes so quick after the lightning strikes. It feels like you're floating for a sec, but you're so scared at that point you just run. Like you don't
oh
think
yeah.
about it, but when you think back on it, you're like, oh my god, I felt like I was floating. Now, I went camping, or I didn't go camping. I went hiking. So, have you ever heard of the Bennington Triangle
Mhm.
phenomenon?
Yeah,
So
that's like in the Northeast, right?
mhm, that's in Vermont. It takes place
Mhm.
between Vermont, Bennington, Vermont, I think part of Canada, and then like down a little further. I can't exactly remember the places, but
I'm pretty sure it's Massachusetts as well, right?
yeah, yeah,
Something
the
like that.
Appalachian Trail of
Mhm.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Like,
Um.
kind
I,
of New Englandy area.
yeah, yeah. So as you know, I don't make this like a hidden thing. I grew up in Vermont, and going around Vermont, I've hiked so many state parks. I was in a state park. I can't remember the name. I think it was Bennington State Park or something like that. I can't
Mhm.
remember the exact name, but it was in the Bennington Triangle. And this story is going to sound like ones you probably heard and narrated yourself, but I was hiking on a trail. It's a well-worn path. Clearly, it was like one of the main trails, and there was this lady in front of me, and she was like, I walk fast. Like the average human walks about 2 to 3 miles per hour when they just walk. My natural walking speed is about 4 or 5. So I walk fast. Um, this lady in front of me, I, I catch up to her. I'm like, hey, how are you? Because you try to be nice on hikes to
Mhm.
strangers. And she's like, I'm doing well. How about you? And I'm like, I'm good. And she keeps walking. I keep walking. I stay behind her the whole time. She's walking fast. Like, she's walking fast, bro. Almost like jogging. And she's got this big blue backpack on and everything. She's wearing, like, some shirt, some, hiking shorts and hiking boots. And, nothing. I didn't think anything of it. But there's a bend in the path, right? But there was, like, one tree on the corner of the bend, but then there were like no bushes. It was completely clear. You could see the other side of the path, so you knew where you were going. Right? She go, she goes up around that bend, and I was kind of like watching her. I was watching for her to see where she would go, so I'd have an idea where the path is after that bend. And the way the bend was like a perfect, like almost like a halfy, like an L shape almost. Except without the sharp point. And
Yeah.
I'm watching to see where she comes out. She never comes out. There's no bushes. She can't be hiding anywhere. So I'm like, that's weird. So I walk up a little bit more. I go around that bend. She's gone. And I go to
Wow.
where she would have been. And I look back right where I was. I would have seen her. She just disappeared into thin air.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy, dude.
I was freaked out. I was like, that's a little weird. But I just kept on going.
Yeah, I'd love to check that out, dude. That'd be a
Yeah.
great story.
Oh, thank you. But what you been up to, man? I saw you just released your own line of chips, right?
Yeah, yeah. Partnered up with a local company that makes some great seasonings and hot sauces and stuff. And
It's
I've been a big
awesome.
fan of them for a while. So I just kind of proposed to deal with them. Was like, what if we, brand some hot snacks and sauces of my own since I'm known to do hot peppers and stuff like that for charity and all that. I was like, why
Mm-hmm.
not, kind of brand something and, see if we can't like expand what we already do into something new and, so far it's honestly been so crazy and overwhelming about how many people have ordered, and we had like a pretty small goal in mind. We're like, okay, we'll do this small lot and see what happens, and we completely smashed that like over and over. So like
Wow.
it's been like really awesome. It's all kind of homemade. It's a GMO free, excuse me, not GMO. It's GMO free. This is the GMO. No, this is GMO free. It's organic. It's home baked. It's really cool. We make our own seasoning that goes on it, and it's a blend of ghost pepper, honey, and sriracha.
Okay.
And when people hear the ghost pepper and they get scared, they're like, "Oh, that's really hot." But this is not overwhelming at all. This is not anything like biting into a ghost pepper. The honey really kind of offsets it, and everything's sustainably sourced as well.
Okay.
It's local honey, from local beekeepers, and it's not
Wow.
like we do our best to keep everything, kind of in house and what we can do local to help the, just like if you can help your local economy, that's where you're gonna, benefit the most from. So try to keep everybody going here, and
So
also, what a lot of people don't understand is when you do support like sustainable beekeepers and stuff like that, you're actually helping the bees more than you are affecting them in any way, because
Yes.
you're giving them a place to rehabilitate, and you're giving them a place to, be there safely to exist and to go and pollinate. Because a lot of these places let the bees go, they're not forced to be there.
Right. Um. Now, how did that come about? Take us through the steps of what got this started.
Um, Kind of just as simple as I said earlier, is this I kind of I've been buying, like I saw this company start. It was from some friends of mine, and
Mm-hmm.
they they just have a good flavor. They have good spice, they have good flavor, and they have a good mix of it. And I've just was like, if I want to do something more, outside of just media with this
Mm-hmm.
company. It is a media company, I get that, but like, I
Okay.
want to, I want to expand and see what I can do. Try everything. I'm not necessarily trying to run out there and be make $1 billion or whatever off of
Mm-hmm.
chips. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to go compete against Doritos or anything. But
Right.
I think it's I thought it was something that was cool and novelty that is relevant to what I already do, and something that I like myself. I love this flavor. I think it's really, really good. And when I tried the flavor, because they were showing me some prototypes they were working on, and I was like, this is something that, like, I would love to put my name on and push out there, because I think this is the perfect flavor for this is like my favorite flavor of snack. So I was like, this would be perfect for me to put out there and kind of brand and see how people like it, and try to just do something a little bit different from what most YouTubers do. Merch is cool, but like, food is kind of a different thing, and it's kind of like a novelty thing. And if it becomes a long-term business thing where we do multiple snacks and a bunch of other cool stuff that we kind of have ideas to do,
Mm-hmm.
that would be awesome. But if it kind of just is a few novelty items that kind of die off after a while, that's cool too. It's kind of just trial and error, and just pushing the boundaries. Why not? Like, if you have the
Right.
opportunity to do something new and to learn something new, why not expand that? And there's more to life than just YouTube, right? So might as
Yeah.
well just do what you can do outside of YouTube.
So what did you do? Did you just like approach him and be like, "Hey, so I want to expand a little bit, and I think you guys would be a great way to do that with a novelty item like a chip, like a flavored chip or something."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because they were already working on something similar, and I kind of, I'm always talking with people that I support and like a lot, and just kind of see where I can be of assistance. And I was like, well, this would be very beneficial to them, because they would obviously be getting a bunch of sales and customers and all that, and this would be beneficial to me, because I can actually have the ability to put out a physical, tangible product that
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't necessarily rob my wallet dry or whatever, because a
Right.
lot of this kind of stuff, like, obviously, like, there's a lot of cost that goes into making a physical product. So, like, just because we get a ton of sales doesn't necessarily mean that we're making a ton of money,
Right.
but like I said, the point isn't necessarily to make a ton of money. It's more of just to kind of expand and see what we can do. And this is obviously going to be a good way to be able to get all these numbers, kind of put them into spreadsheets and whatnot, and maybe potentially show them to bigger and better providers or companies that might want to work with me on bigger and better things. Like, who knows? Maybe one day, since we used to do drinking streams all the time, maybe I'll come out with my own, alcohol one day,
That'd
or
be cool.
maybe we'll come out with our own marijuana strain or something. Like,
That'd be
just
cool.
stuff that just something to do. Like, it's bigger and better things and cooler things that might hit a bigger market that people might enjoy. And that's kind of what I'm all about. Is like, how can I do things that would be cool and that would be things that bring smiles to people's faces. Ultimately, my whole life, I just want to make people smile. That's why I'm a goofball. That's why I'm just a big memer. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really take a lot of things serious, because it's like I want to make people smile. It's all about, life is short, and we just might as well enjoy it as much as we can. We spend
Now,
way too much time being anxious as it is. So,
I agree. I absolutely agree. Now, I gotta ask because you mentioned marijuana strain. I am a former marijuana smoker, and I smoked for years and years, like
hmm
since I was 10 years old. Um, so, are you big into smoking some of that good old grass?
yeah, yeah. I get into.
Okay,
I don't
okay,
smoke as much as I used to. I do like edibles more than anything.
yeah,
Try to be healthier about it.
right.
But I'm big into the medical effects and such like
Hmm.
that. I
Okay.
mean, obviously there's ups and downs to everything, but
I can imagine
um,
a swamp dweller strain of
I think that would be
marijuana.
awesome. I think it would be great. You know, I
Would
think
it
it
be
would
like a
bring.
sativa, a hybrid, an indica?
Um,
What would you?
I would. I guess that's a good question. That's why, like, I feel like when I think about this, like, man, I need one of each. Like, but I guess I'd probably start with like a hybrid or something. Give a little bit of best of both worlds. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
most people can rock with hybrids, but you know, like obviously if it's something during the day, and you know, you need to have a nice pick me up.
Sativa.
You need a nice sativa. You know, but
Yeah. Okay,
it's
okay.
one of those things where you want to do everything, you know. But I'm one of those people that is really overly ambitious as it is. It's like
Yeah.
I start something small, like some small chips, and then suddenly I'm like, oh man, I could do this, I could do that. Like, but
Now, I gotta ask, if someone wanted to order, your brand of chips and hot sauce, how would they do that?
I've got the link posted on like my Twitter bio, my Instagram bio, stuff like that, and I've got posts pretty much
Okay.
everywhere about it. But I've got links out there, but you could go to the links are kind of weird to say. So it's not, unfortunately, it's not like a direct.com website yet. We're working on that. But
Okay.
like I'll send you the link, and if you'd want to, you could put it in the description or something.
All right. Sounds good to me, man. You gotta send me some. I'm gonna send you my
Oh yeah.
address, and you gotta send me some, cause I will try this stuff live. I will try all your hot sauces and whatever live, cause you ever heard of Hot Ones, that interview show on YouTube where they interview
Yeah, yeah, I
celebrities?
love them.
Yeah,
They're
so
great.
I've tried all of their sauces up until like last year. I have tried their hottest sauce that they made. I gotta tell you, man. When you see these celebrities try their hottest sauce right at the end, and they go like insane because of the heat of it, that's
Hmm.
not fake. That's not
I hear
fake.
that.
They are not acting. That shit is hot.
Oh
I
man, I've bitten into ghost peppers, Carolina Reapers, all kinds of stuff on the stream. Like
oh
I've
man.
I've put like 3 or 4 habaneros in my mouth. Oh gosh, it sucks.
Oh man, it does, but it's so delicious. You can't help it.
It's crazy, man. I actually think it's something I found out. Like I think it's just because like the capsaicin's more fresh. But like I found out like because I was doing like ghost pepper shots of like the sauce, but then like I was biting into habaneros, which aren't supposed to be as spicy. But those fresh habaneros kicked my ass way worse than that hot sauce.
Oh yeah, well, because it's fresh, the capsaicins are fresher, which means they're
Mhm.
going to be hotter. And then when
Oh,
you
it
eat something
slapped
off
me
the
hard.
vine like that, all those enzymes, all those seeds are still fresh, and so they
Hmm.
release a lot more heat. Now, they say when you like cook a pepper, it gets hot. Some people say it gets hotter. Some people say it gets milder. What do you think?
Um, Man, I've never really thought about that personally. Like, I just like spice. I'm a big spice head, but man, I've never really thought about that. I think honestly, fresh is always hotter. I don't know why. Like growing up on like a lot of farms and stuff, where like I'd like pick like green beans fresh off the vine and stuff like that. I feel like I always tasted better that way. So I feel like it probably would be personally. I just feel like it's hotter. Just like I said, like I literally picked these off the vine freshly, and I was like
Hmm.
putting them in my mouth, and I was like, this is way worse than any sauce we have in this house.
Now, a funny story. One time when I was at my brother's grandparents, they had pepper plants, like chili pepper plants. I didn't realize I was young, so I didn't realize the difference between a bell pepper and a chili
Mm.
pepper. And I picked it off the vine and I bit right into it. I ate the whole thing right then and there, and I fully regretted it. I
Oh, I
fully
bet.
regretted it. Um, yeah, no, I'm a major spice head.
I think your how much you're like accustomed to eating spicy stuff helps
Hmm.
too. Because like I've gotten to a point now where I can just like pop a serrano pepper and it ain't shit, you know. Or I
Yeah.
can pop what are those big green ones? Poblanos, you know.
Poblanos. Yeah.
I can like take a bite of that and be fine. Because like those aren't like obviously the most spicy ones out there, but they've got a kick to them still. I can do like banana peppers pretty easily, red chili peppers pretty easy,
Banana
but
peppers are kind of mild anyway, though. They're
I'm
kind of
also kind of one of those sickos who like puts cayenne pepper on everything too. So like even if there's like there'll be
yes.
like a bunch of hot peppers, it's just me putting cayenne on the hot pepper for no
Yeah.
freaking reason.
Gotta
Or like
have
I'll
that
have like
spice, man. You gotta have that heat.
some- dude, I get like the ground up ghost pepper as well, and I do that. Like I'm sick, dude. Like I have a
I haven't
problem.
tried
Like,
that. want to try that, bro. But yeah.
It's great for seasoning, man.
All right, my man. Thank you so much for being here today. I gotta ask you, why did you decide to come back on the show? Like, what attracted you to my show once again?
Man, I was just really bored, brother, and I saw Bigfoot, and I just had to talk to Matt and tell him. No, I enjoyed it last time. I thought it'd be fun to come on, while I have a little extra free time before I obviously get side slammed and suplexed and kicked in the balls again with a bunch of million things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure, why not make a second appearance out here?
Thank you, my man. I appreciate you choosing my show to come back on. I really enjoyed the first time. I was actually gonna reach out to you pretty soon, and then you were like, I was actually recording the interview with Dodge List 82 when you messaged me, and we're done, right? We get done, and I look at your message, and I'm like, Dodge is like, what's wrong? What's going on? I'm like, Swamp messaged me. He wants to come back on the show. So I'm like freaking out. She's like, that's awesome, man. I'm like, yes, because I really love having you here. I'd love for you to be like a mainstay guest. We could record 100 episodes. I feel like we'd never run out of anything to talk about.
Definitely, dude. I'll definitely come on again sometime. We'll always got something to talk about, There's never a shortage of things to BS about.
Hell no, man. All right, my man. I want to thank you so much for being a guest on my show. I really enjoy having you here. I cannot put into words the excitement I have.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. It was a great time.
Thank you. Everyone, please have a wonderful day, and please go make sure to you know what? You're probably already subscribed to Swamp Dweller. Who am I fucking kidding? But please make sure to show him some love by liking this video and tweeting out this video. Maybe I'm even going to make it so you can take snippets and talk about your favorite snippets from this episode. So please show him the love for coming back on the show. All right? Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, you are loved and you are validated for who you are always. Good night.